In this video, we'll be going over IRS Form 14242, which is the form that taxpayers may file with the IRS if they want to submit a report on suspected abusive tax promotions or preparers. So this is this is one of the forms that you may file when you have reason to believe that something is amiss with someone that's trying to prepare your tax return. It's not necessarily the only form that you would file, for example, in the case of if your tax preparer is actually doing something wrong. There are several other forms that you may consider filing if, for example, your tax return preparer simply filed your form without your permission, signing it on your behalf, things of that nature. This is more of the kind of schemes, commercial advertisements, things of that nature that maybe someone approaches you. And so there's not a lot of information on this document itself, but if you go to the IRS website, there is a section called Abusive Tax Schemes and Abusive Tax Return Preparers. So what the IRS wants to report on this form are examples of certain promotions, fly-by-night peddlers maybe, that promise big tax deductions and outsized tax refunds. And what happens is when those tax returns get audited, those deductions get disallowed, and now the person that filed the tax return could be in trouble, as well as facing a significant amount of back taxes that they owe, penalties, interest, so on and so forth. So from the IRS website, they're making a plea for taxpayers to be on the lookout for promoters who might be dealing something that's a little bit stranger than what you would expect. And the website contains some examples of what would happen. These are a combination of things that have been reported to the IRS, internet rumors, and a couple of other reports. So basically, if they're too good to be true, they're probably not true. And on top of this, you may actually be asked to pay a decent amount of fees, which you will never get back, even if you are able to wade through all the tax implications of your report. So examples of what has been reported previously would be syndicated conservation easements that were abused and tax deductions taken. There's a little known trick about the U.S.-Malta tax treaty. The United States has a tax treaty with the country of Malta that allows for certain tax treatment, but this has been kind of the subject of several tax scams that have happened. Improper claims of business credits or improperly established installment sales. So basically, if your accountant is not telling you that this is a good idea, then before you enter into a transaction, you should probably check with your accountant, and definitely be on the lookout for someone that hasn't been around, that's approaching you for some reason that you're not able to figure out. Like, why is this person talking to me about my new tax strategy when they don't know me, right? So things of that nature. Now, we'll go through this form. Unfortunately, I can't enter in anything into these fields because I had to download a different version of this form from the IRS website. However, you can go through this form and complete it. There are some other schemes that the IRS wants you to be aware of. Every year they publish what is known as the Dirty Dozen list. So for 2023, the Dirty Dozen included employee retention credit claims, phishing scams, and then also a related scam would be smishing, which is using SMS messages as phishing. uh, Online account help from third-party scammers where they'll someone will approach you and offer to help you create your own online account at the IRS website. You don't need anyone to help you. You can do it yourself. It takes about 10 minutes. But these third parties might actually use this as a way to steal your personal information, log in at a separate time, and then take the information they need to run scams, uh, as part of an identity theft scam. Uh, False fuel tax credit claims, fake charities, unscrupulous tax return preparers, social media scams, spear phishing, and cybersecurity scams for tax professionals. So a lot of tax professionals, especially smaller operations, are becoming increasingly subject to attack from cyber terrorists and from phishing scams, specifically because they have a lot of personally identifiable information. And if the wrong person gets their hands on that information, they can do a lot of damage. Bogus tax avoidance strategies, schemes with international elements. So all of these things that we have talked about have appeared at least once on the IRS Dirty Dozen. And again, that's a annual update, and a lot of those scams kind of stay the same from year to year. So in this, basically, you've got about 2.5 pages, and you're just going to describe the tax scheme that's being promoted. So let's imagine that there's a fly-by-night tax preparer that's just doing ghost tax return preparation. So basically, you pay this person an exorbitant fee because they've got this tax strategy that they've seen work, they've attested to, whatever the case may be, and all you have to do is pay them, an extra certain amount of money to be able to participate in this tax shelter. You're investing in a conservation easement that you can then deduct on your tax return. So then you'll simply go through this form, describe what was being promoted. Was this promoted as a legal tax strategy? And then how did you become aware of the promoter? Usually they're, uh, people will pop up and go door to door, or they'll set up local kind of advertising, just quick pop up advertise, get a bunch of people in the door, special events, limited time only kind of things, and then they'll just disappear and go to the next town or next state over. So you'll outline when you learned about the tax promotion, and then as much information as you can on the identity of the promoters. You're probably not going to get their social security number. That would be pretty foolish, but you probably are able to get their name, mailing address, email. I mean, all of this information should be on some sort of a business card or a flyer that they hand you. And then if there's multiple people in the promotion, you can kind of describe what role each person plays. If they gave you any promotional material, the IRS wants to see that because either it's something that they've seen before and they're just documenting it. Maybe they've received a similar report on the same party in a different state, and they're just trying to track their behavior, or maybe it's a new type of scam that no one's ever seen before, and they need to sit down and think about how to defend taxpayers against that scam. And then, did you pay a cost? Did you have an audit protection fee? Did you have an ongoing monthly service fee? Was this just a one-time, cost. So enter all that information as you can, uh, and then outline how you obtained it. Did you get it through a friend? Did you download it from the internet? Did you see a flyer in the mail? Did you go to a workshop or a seminar, which is in line 9, talking about seminars or meetings? Did you have to pay for the privilege of attending said seminar? Where was it held? When was it held? Did you personally attend the seminar? And then, you know, uh, in line 10, how is the promoter involved in it? Was this a one-person show? Were there multiple people? Did someone simply reach out to you, and then once they had your attention, did they pass you off to a different person, the brains behind the operation that actually kind of walked you through how this tax scheme worked? What was the initial promoter's involvement? And then who is the target group? Was it someone that came to your place of business and shopped this to all of your employees? Was it like a trade convention, or was it just a location? Was it for retired people? Was it for a certain demographic? And then in question 12, are there any other similar promotions in your area? How are they similar? Is the promotion being advertised still, or did they just disappear after a couple of weeks or a couple of months? What were the tax benefits? Like, what was it that you were expected to receive in exchange for the fees that you paid, or for the, the hoops that you had to jump through? Was this like a big promotion? Like, was this a nationwide thing? Was this exclusive to residents of your state or your county for some reason? Did this happen, because of whatever reason? It could be storm damage because of a hurricane, and now this is a tax scheme that's affected all people in a general locality because this was a presidential federally declared disaster area, and maybe those people are getting targeted by the scammers. Oh, I apologize. And then in line 16, do you know any tax preparers that are completing returns for those investors? So you should try to provide as much information on all preparers. You probably are not going to get their social security number, but who knows? You should be able to at least get their name, address, and telephone number. And if you have the contact information for more than one tax preparer, try to provide as much information as you can for everyone. Did you have private or personal conversations? If so, annotate who you talked with, what did they say, when the conversation took place, where, was anyone else present? And then, what is your relationship with the promoter? Did you have personal contact? Do you know any other individuals that have used this promotion? If so, the IRS might be interested in knowing their, being able to reach out to them to get more information. Did you purchase and use the promotion package? And if so, did you file amended returns? So this is, maybe the sticking point, but I would kind of urge you to consider that if there is an egregious or abusive tax scheme, the IRS is probably going to pick up on it at some point during the audit process. However, if you report this, then the IRS may be willing to work with you in order to create a payment plan for the taxes that you probably owe. And again, there is a difference in the treatment that you might receive if you report this and you happen to have been the victim of a scam, as opposed to just letting it run its course and not reporting it to the IRS. So in the first situation, you would probably at least be able to work out a reasonable installment agreement. Even if financial hardship is a consideration, the IRS would probably be working with you because of your proactive nature in reporting this. And then they also want to see like how bad the damage is, how many people were victims of this scam, and is there something that the IRS could be doing differently to stop it. So according to the Paperwork Reduction Act notice, it should take about 10 minutes to prepare and send this form. Once it's complete, you can provide your contact information. You don't have to, but if the IRS has questions, then they can send the receipt of the referral acknowledgement, and then they can follow up with you with additional questions. In general, the IRS is not allowed to give you information on what's happening in an investigation. If you do provide false or fraudulent information, you might be subject to penalties. But if you don't have all the information, or if you only are able to give part of the information, that will not affect you. This is a voluntary form. However, as I mentioned, you may consider filing this if you know that you're going to receive a big tax bill because you took a deduction or a tax credit that you probably were not entitled to. So you can either mail or fax this form. The instructions are at the top of the form. The Lead Development Center for the IRS in California. You can also fax it to 949-389-5083. So if you want to know more detailed information, we've written an article that discusses this form. You can find that article on our website. Simply go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS form 14242, and our article should appear. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please let me know by either dropping them in the comments section or sending me an email. Thank you very much and have a great day.